Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today. And remember, true wealth begins with good health. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Bookhardt, and as usual, we have a very, very special episode lined up just for you. Now, before we get started, I'm so sorry we're getting started late. I want to ask my guest, Dr. Hall, if he wouldn't mind giving us till about 8:30, because I know we definitely cannot shortchange tonight. We had a lot of technical difficulties and even some other difficulties. The devil was trying to throw a monkey wrench in there, but God will prevail as always. But I do want to let you all know that Telehealth Tuesday can be viewed on multiple platforms, including our YouTube channel, which is Dr. B TV. The word doctor spelled out DOCTOR, the letter B as in boy, TV. And you can also see us on our LinkedIn page and also um, our Facebook under Dr. Mike Bookhardt as well. So without further ado, I want to get to our guest bio. And he gave me the short version because this brother he's a decorated young man. But I'm going to read you the short version and let him fill in any gaps. So Dr. Fred Hall is an author, speaker, coach, trainer, innovator, podcaster, blogger, and entrepreneur. He's a nationally board certified counselor, approved clinical supervisor, board certified telemental health provider. We're going to get into that. And also a licensed professional counselor and supervisor for Mississippi and also the state of Louisiana. Dr. Hall develops and trains leaders worldwide, both online and on site. His work is inclusive of entrepreneurs, pastors, ministry leaders, corporate executives, and also global businesses and not-for-profit administrators. He provides professional capacity building operations which build individuals, organizations, and businesses and organizations. Yearly, he trains and consults in Tanzania, Uganda, and Jamaica regarding marriage education, curricula, and developing peer counseling models and community and church family wellness ministry opportunities. He's a coach and counselor to pastors and ministry leaders. Woo, man. And look, and hey, and that's the short version. That's that's the short version. So I want to say without further ado, let's get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, hear ye him, Dr. Fred Hall. Give it to him. Give it to him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Man. Doc, how you doing tonight?
I am good. It's a good day. I'm glad to be here with you.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you. Man, I'm sorry we're getting started so late. As I always say, this is live and, the this industry will do what it will do. Technology's got a mind of its own.
It sure does. It sure does. But all is well. I'm just excited to be with you and the people that listen and receive a lot of their health information and education and social information also through these platforms. So I want to commend you. Thanks for the work you're doing, both in the clinic and out of the clinic. It changes so many lives. And so I believe we need to encourage each other in the work that we're doing, trying to change and impact a generation. So thanks, Doc.
Man, I really appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you. Well, look, without further ado, and are you okay with staying on with us till about 8:30?
Yeah.
All right.
That's fine.
Perfect. So, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't joined us before, again, this is Telehealth Tuesday. This is the place where we are each and every Tuesday, usually at 7 o'clock p.m. sharp, Central Standard Time. But again, we apologize for any inconveniences, but make sure that you guys tune in. We want you to ask questions. This is not, even though we're talking about relationships and with men and some things that even I hold near and dear to my heart, some things that even I've experienced and want to truly do better for myself and moving forward. This is not only for the men. This is something that'll benefit everyone. So if you don't catch it live, we can be viewed on the archives under Dr. B TV on YouTube. So first question, you know, Doc, I want to know. And by the way, did I miss anything in your bio? Is there anything
No,
that?
no, no. That was more than enough. That was more than enough.
Okay, okay. I said that was the short version.
It was.
Yeah. So tell us, Dr. Hallman, why is it that so many men struggle with opening up about their feelings?
That's a good question. As with men, nothing is one dimensional. It's multifaceted. It is complex because men are complex, but a eclipsed answer might have something to do with the way men and boys are socialized, the expectations, the cultural expectations for boys and young adults has a lot to do with it. And men grow up into people who have these shut down these eclipsed kinds of personalities, and
Hmm.
uh, the way that they show up emotionally, they probably don't see it that way. They may say, I don't have much to say, when in fact they do have lots to say. The problem is they may not have all the language to express it. They may not have the right balance or alignment of mood to go with the words that they have. And so when you have a deficit in any of those places, then men tend to just be quiet. Typically, there's one or two responses. One is to be aggressive or assertive, to act out, or the other is to act in, which is to hold it all in. Neither of those two are neither bad or good. They just are. The problem is if they don't get expressed appropriately, then it turns into a problem. And so, probably what we see and the stereotype is that men either are the strong, silent type or they are the aggressive, angry person. And then you see that again, also, another layer of that has been added to the perception of men of color. So you have a double 1-2 punch for men of color. But men in general would tend to say it's because of the way that they are socialized, the cultural and uh, social expectations of men.
Yeah, awesome. Let me get to, we also, by the way, we are live. And so please, we welcome all of our questions. This is live. We're here for you. We are taking questions as they come in. The first question from my good friend, Mr. Kanoy Brown. We appreciate you joining us. He has his own show, the Kanoy Brown radio show. So shout out to you. He hosts events all over the city and state. And so I'm glad that my brother could join us tonight. But his first question is actually, do you accept United Healthcare?
I do actually. This whole insurance, but that's another talk for another day. This whole insurance thing, getting credentialed and all of that stuff. But yes, I do take United Health Insurance.
Kanoa, you keep him coming, brother, because he has a very interesting show. I think he's going to go on at 8 o'clock because we're just running behind. But he normally comes on right behind us, and he has Hot Topic Tuesdays. And so,
Yeah.
shout out to you and your platform. But
Right, Kanoy.
yeah, some interesting things. So, but we appreciate your answer on the first question was,
Yeah.
why do so many men struggle with opening up about their feelings? Um, how would you say, Doc, that how can counseling help African American men deal with relationship struggles?
That's a good question. And counseling and therapy, it's an old construct and discipline. But for African American, Latino, Asian people of color, it is a newer uh, practice. African American men, that's an even newer one. So
Hmm.
we're on the last end of getting in on this level of innovation. So we are the last people. But I've seen a lot of men who want counseling and therapy because they know that they're not living to their fullest potential, or the way that they live, think, emote, act, behave, they know it's not what they want. And at some point, you get to a place where you say, maybe it's time for me to change. The problem is, men don't, well, people, but men don't know, they don't have a lot of the tools or skills in order to change. They have want to, but in many regards, that's all it is. It's just a want to. I want to change. I don't want to be this way.
Mhm.
And I want to change, but they don't have the skill set, the hard skills or the soft skills in order to make the transition. And so counseling would be a great connector or bridge between your real self and your ideal self. Your
Mm.
ideal self, or the self you want to be, or the self you could be. One might argue the self you used to be is over there. But then we're right here living in the reality of where we are. And those two things seem like they're worlds apart. Sometimes counseling can be very helpful in connecting those dots for people. It gives them a space to absolutely be authentic and genuine. It should be non judgmental. It should be affirming. It should be warm and empathetic. Those are all of the core conditions you want to create for your client, especially your male client, because they usually have crossed a lot of bridges and a lot of barriers to get to counseling. Many men, especially men of color, they don't have a background for this. So this is all new to them. And so you want to make sure you go slow with them, not remedial. So don't talk down to them or speak down to them. They're very intellectual people. They
Mm.
just don't have that skill. And so again, you work hard on assuring them, letting them be heard. And so one of the first things I do when I'm working with men, and again, men of color particularly, is to hear the story. And that's usually my tagline: your story matters. So I want to hear your story. What is it? Not the edited version, not the version that church or your mom and dad or society or the cultural context will give you, but the story as you see it. And then I'm trying to see how you construct meaning. What is important to you? What is valuable to you? Where are the difficulties for you? Where do you celebrate? What's successful to you? Because how I define success may not be how you define success. So I'm doing some norming, some leveling, trying to get a sense of who the man is. And then I start saying, where do you find difficulty? And when I know his pain points, and the things that bother him, then I can start figuring out how do I join him in the story. It's not for me. The misconception is that counseling is going to tell you what to do, it's going to
Yeah.
solve problems.
Right.
And that's not it at all. There may be some problem solving because sometimes people come to therapy to solve a problem. And so in my business, we call that solution focused kinds of therapy. But it's mostly to allow the person to tell the story, figure out what a difficulty is, see what they actually want, and come alongside the person and say, how then can we get this? If we can. Some things men or people in general, they want, they just can't get it.
Hmm.
Not because all the time it's not available, but it's not available to you. And that is a hard truth. But then part of what we do then in therapy is learning to accept what is reality. I want to stay with my girlfriend. I want to stay with my wife, but your wife is leaving. There's a breakup, and you came to therapy because she says, for years, I've been telling you we need to get some help, or you need to get some help. So now he has motivation to go get the help, and he's there, but he may not win the girl in the end like they do on the in the movies. It may not be a happy ending. So
Mm.
part of what therapy may do is help him see reality and accept that reality and build upon even that negative part of reality. So that's why I think therapy can be very helpful, because it teaches you new skills. It gives you, especially, it gives you acceptance skills, and it gives you how to confront if
Mm,
you're having broken communication. I think we all are broken, men, women, black, white, Asian,
mm,
Latino. All of us have brokenness because we're flawed individuals. Sometimes our brokenness gets in the way of how we want to function, whether for ourselves or in the marketplace or within our families. And at that point, when the brokenness impedes your real functioning, that's when you say, it's time to get me some help. Um, Everything that we talk about in therapy is always confidential. The therapist can't say anything to anybody. Now, if you needed that to change, you would have to put that in writing. And that's typically if you like to an insurance company, or you wanted your wife to have access, or whoever, to your records, then
mm.
you would put that in writing. But it's always confidential. You can't let on at any point. And that's a safety mechanism for the client. The only exception
Okay.
to
All right.
that is which is also in education and medicine. If you knew that a person was imminently about to harm themselves, they were dangerous to themselves, then you have to intervene. You have to break the confidentiality to get them help. If they were putting somebody's life in danger, you knew that they were actively threatening to harm or kill someone, then you have to break confidentiality. If they were abusing a child, vulnerable adult, elderly person, those things you have to report for your regulatory boards. And you explain all of that in the first session. So I always want people to be able to say or not say whatever is comfortable for them.
Mhm,
So those are the things that happen in therapy. And it is a dynamic relationship. No matter what your stance is on therapy,
mhm.
the counseling relationship should be 85 to 90% of the healing factor. Just what you and the counselor do together, no matter what technique it is. So it is a
Amazing.
very helpful process if you have the right counselor that meets those needs, because you're really honing in on the therapeutic relationship between the client and the counselor.
Man, that's amazing. I really appreciate that answer. And look, I, you know, I'm telling you guys, look, it's almost difficult to even try to host the show, and I'm trying to keep up with. We've just started. Some of you all see that we've got like a portrait mode. It's usually in landscape where we look bigger and it's more horizontal. We had to do it this way vertically because when you stream live to Instagram using a third party like what I use, they make they require you to do it this way. So we've got a lot of new things coming on, but I see, so I'm having to kind of monitor while he's talking, and I'm seeing we've got several people that are watching via Instagram as well as on our live stream here on different platforms. I'm always having to multitask since we don't have like WAPT news studios and producers all around. We kind of one man band. So, but man, I'm telling you, Doc, this is even blessing me, man. I got to,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, if we pause for the cause to just say a quick word of prayer before we get any deeper. Is
Sure.
that okay with you?
Absolutely.
And that's the good thing about being there's nobody that owns us, or there's no big corporation over us. So
Yeah.
we believe in Christ here. We believe in
Yes.
God.
Yes, we do. Yes,
Yes,
we do.
we're gonna
Yes,
give
we do.
it to Him. So, Father God, we bow our heads. We just want to give you just a moment right now to recognize you, because we are going to delve into some really deep topics and questions for these last 30, 40 minutes. And I know that even as the host of the show, that this is something that's near and dear to my heart from what I've been going through and struggling with personally. So we ask that you will bless Dr. Hall here, bless myself, and try to keep it together and hold it in the road to help host the show. We know that you are always with us, and bless each and every listener and participant on the sound of our voices, that they will gain something from this tonight. Male, female, boy, girl, doesn't matter. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks, brother. I
Man, so
appreciate that.
absolutely. So the next topic is accountability, man. And I'll tell you, and I try not to get too personal, but this thing really, and people that know me know that some of the decisions that I made recently and were not. were not indicative or reflective of who I am, the way I handled something personally. And I've had serious regrets, man, ever since.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it doesn't matter how much you try to right the wrong. If
Yeah.
a person, you said just a little while ago, no matter what it is you're trying to achieve, even if
Right.
the husband trying to get the wife back, she
Right.
trust him, she's already gone. He may not even
Right.
get her back, but it's all about
Right.
him healing and trying to do better going forward. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's a big one for me, man. Really
Yeah.
hits home. So
Yeah.
something that I had, been going through, man, with accountability. And when your feet are really held to the fire, and you see what your actions have caused, whether you've hurt people in the past or
Yeah.
now, and it could even not be a relationship. Maybe it's your family,
Yeah.
maybe it's your kids.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
I've made mistakes in all those
Yeah.
departments, man.
Yeah.
So, but my question is about accountability. How do we what is accountability from your standpoint, and how do
Yeah.
we as men achieve that in relationships?
It would be nice. I love the question. And that is my biggest platform. If anything I do is accountability and mentorship. Those are two separate things, but I squish them all into one thing because I think as men, that is almost the recipe, the secret sauce for
Hmm.
you doing anything that's great. And again, great doesn't have to mean that you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Hmm.
Great could be that you are a good husband and a good father, or that you're a good man by yourself. You're a good single. That's however you define great. But I think accountability, I'll take it from that standpoint, is allowing yourself to be open to another person or other people, and they have permission given by you to question what you do. They have the right to speak into your life about things. But they can't do that if you have all these barriers up. So you have to lower the barriers, invite them in, give them access to stuff.
Mm.
Um, I always say you can't heal if you won't deal. You can't heal things if you won't deal with things. But you can't deal with them if you don't acknowledge that they're there. And people can't hold you accountable. They can't question you about it if they don't know that that's there. And
Okay.
that's not necessarily a counseling construct, but that's just a life kind of construct. You can't hold your son accountable. You can't hold your wife accountable. You can't hold the brother at the church accountable if you don't know what all the details are. You don't have to know them to nth degree, but you have to know the people who work with you, who are in relationship with you, which
Okay.
makes us go down another road. Who are you rhetorically, who are you in relationship with?
Hmm.
So you can't even talk about being accountable if you're not in relationship with anybody. And for men, that's especially difficult because we keep people pretty far off. We
Yeah.
don't have people up close to us. We have enough uh, friends, we have enough frats, we have enough colleagues, we have enough people that we can sit together at the barbecue, but we don't have people who know us in and out
Hmm.
because it takes a level of being vulnerable to do that, and men are not accustomed to that for the most part. Even if you say, well, I'm accustomed to that, that's okay for me to be vulnerable. The
Hmm.
context and the people who I am around, they are not used to that, so it looks weird to them. Nobody wants to look weird, so they shy away from being vulnerable. So there's all these levels of truth, and there's honesty, and then there's being transparent, and then there's being vulnerable. And at that vulnerable core level is where your real life happens. And that's the level you want people who you trust to be able to speak into your life and hold you accountable. It would be a sad thing if your close people cannot steer you before you go wrong.
Hmm.
If sometimes they try, it's either because they are not involved enough or I got too many barriers up. And that is a sad epitaph for the person who does not have quality people up close to them. If we're talking about men, a man needs two or three brothers that can be have access to him and be able to speak into his life, no matter what. You can laugh together, you can travel together, you can cut up together,
Hmm.
but that's not the sum total of what you do. There has to be heart to heart. There has to be a ability for somebody to say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" And you hear it. Don't fight back. Relax that criteria because men are defensive. A lot of times we want to compare ourselves. That's one of the defense mechanisms or coping strategies that men have. They adopt it pretty quick. They compare themselves. So if you get a Mercedes, then of course I have to have a Maserati. And if you have $100,000, then I have to have $200,000 job. And it's not about that. Relax all that criteria and just be men and allow somebody to know you vulnerably, intimately, in the real sense of that word. And then let them up close enough to they can check on you. And they have a right. You give them the right to call you any time of day, to show up anywhere and say, and if you're wrong, say, let me put you back in check. Stop that. I have people in my life older than me, the same age as me, younger than me, and all of them have permission by me, and they've used it to put me in check, and they do. They'll say, "Stop that. What's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? Now I can't go with you on that. You know I'll walk near and far for you, but you're wrong on that, and I'm not going to support you on that. You need to go get that right. Stop that. Get it right, and you grow when you have people like that. Otherwise, you become stunted. There's no really where else for you to go. So you just keep circling inside your own personality and your own madness, and you fizzle out. And we start making these big mistakes. And that's kind of the how we end up on the wrong side of things because we don't have any guardrails. We don't have any people beside us cushioning the blows that life is going to give to us. So accountability and mentorship is kind of where you want to go. That person can has already done that and can get you there faster. But you got to admit that you don't know. You got to be teachable. You got to say, I don't know something, and you do, or you have the skills I need. Let me be quiet and learn from you. I know what I know, but you know what you know. I can learn from you. Everybody's your teacher. And that, I think, is where accountability is missing in the
Wow.
majority of our male relationships. I
Wow.
always ask men, how many good male friends do you have? I mean, real friends, not people at the barbecue, not person you go have a beer with, people who know you and can get close to you, who can see you cry. And they're like, I don't let anybody there. I said, well, who do you talk to about deep heart issues? Nobody. It's like, let's start with that. That's always a homework I give men, whether they're in therapy or I'm at church or whether I'm at a conference. I always say, homework, go find a man and get close to him. And I know how that sounds. And I'm intentionally saying it that way to
Right.
be
Right.
provocative. I'm intentionally saying it that way to be provocative. Go find a man and get close to him. Allow him to get close to you because it's safe for you. And that's where you'll grow when you have another person who can walk with you throughout life. Another man.
And this is I'm telling you, man, I'm like I said, I'm having to multitask a little bit here
Yeah, I know.
because I'm going between these different platforms. But
Yeah.
man, this is I'm telling you, this is truly
Yeah.
hitting
Yeah.
home. Um,
Yeah.
so you know, my next question is another one. Again that, and I try not to be too personal or introspective on the show, but can't help but
Right.
I mean, because there were certain things that happened that even surprised me. I always, said, man, hey, I'm always been an honest guy. Like,
Yeah.
even if the truth hurts, when it comes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
relationship, no matter what it is that a person is looking for, there's no reason to lie to another person if you know you're not on that same trajectory. And
Yeah.
never been that kind of guy. And it was like, like I said months ago, and even asked some hard questions. And I was just like, man, this is. I don't know why when it was just should have been just so easy. And even I talked to some people offline and some men that I do trust, and they say,
Yeah.
well, if I was asked that, man, I would have just said this is the deal, this is what happened.
Right.
And
Right.
you know and that's one of the things I truly have some significant regrets about, and you can't go through the rest of your life, regretting. That's why me and you, I'm sure, talk offline, because
Yeah.
I know that you've been a powerful force, man,
Yeah.
with me, before, uh,
Yeah.
things happen and all that, and
Yeah.
then we'll be getting together. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, it just kind of surprised me, and even my own
Yeah.
take on it, that I didn't embody the same truth that I always speak or tell other people, and I didn't handle it the same way, and I have significant regrets, man. So
Yeah.
my question is, why is it so hard for some men to be truthful, and how do we grow from that, so that we don't end up in this again?
For the most part, and I appreciate your honesty and transparency, even in this platform.
Yeah.
But I'll take that and I'll exponentially try to address it. For the most part, men really don't believe what they're capable of. People don't in general, but
Hmm.
men don't believe that. For whatever reason, we wouldn't admit to it, but we have a us and a them. My standard for you or for people or for clients or for friends or for church members or for frats or whatever it is this. But I have another standard for myself. So we see ourselves differently. That's not bad. That's not good. It's just that's what it is. The
Hmm.
problem is when you keep growing, keep stretching, and or if there's a broken place, if
Okay.
there's a crack in any of that foundation and you don't address it,
Hmm.
especially if you're an adult and the crack happened at 13, 14, 15, 10, 11, wherever it had happened, and it never gets addressed, and you just keep going and say, oh, well, that's just how I am. Well, that is true. But there are some things embedded in that crack that you're not aware of, and they tend to show up in these spaces that we don't really want them to. And so we don't really believe the full capacity of what we're capable of when we lose it. And all of us have lost it, blown off the handle, gotten angry, said the wrong thing, done the wrong thing, did a thing
Right.
that we can't believe we did. And even as I say it, we don't believe we did that. Like, I can't believe I did that. And we would try to put it in context. It says, but it's because A, B, and C happened, or because they kept pushing, or because they wouldn't leave it alone. We try to explain it or justify it or to try to validate why we did that. But when we step back from it, we really don't believe we have the capacity to do all of that stuff. And I think all of us have the capacity. All of us have a side to us. Uh, you're not responsible for the things that happen to you in life, especially without your control. Those things that happen as children, even if they were not bad things. Some people will say, I just didn't have a voice. My parents didn't let me talk. They didn't give me options. They told me what I was going to do. Okay, you didn't have any choice over that.
Mm.
But that was at that point. Now, in your adult life, you are responsible for your actions now. Some things happen to you you didn't have any choice over. All of your behavior, you do have choice over that now, even if at some level the trigger to that is subconscious. And so that's why you work hard and or you need people to say, who just showed up there? What was that about? Why do
Mm.
you like that so much? And again, you can't heal if you don't deal, but you got to tell them, I really like that thing and I shouldn't like it, or I'm really angry about this thing because it's all changing your behavior, and it's so uh, subtle. Sometimes the man doesn't even know that he's having all these problems or these issues, but they're just stacking on top of each other. And that then when one little thing happens, they have this emotional explosion. I really don't think men have a good sense, a good grasp of their own intelligence.
Hmm.
There are lots of different kinds of intelligences. And I mean, I'm not talking
Okay.
about smarts, but
Right.
I mean, there's an IQ. We all know that one IQ, which is more the mental intellectual quotient, IQ. But then there is a spiritual quotient, SQ. How do you deal with the things that are valuable, the things that are godlike? It depends on where you stay with that. What some people call higher power, some people call God. How do you deal with those things? How you are open to those things? There is a emotional quotient. There's an emotional intelligence, which is how you see yourself, how people see you,
Right.
and the space that's in between. Because I would say I'm a really nice guy and I'm animated and I like to get loud and I do all of, but people looking at that, they may say, I don't like him. He's arrogant. And I'll say, oh, I'm not arrogant. I'm just demonstrative. I'm big personality. But people see that differently. And you'll say, well, that's their problem. And it is in some way, unless you say, is that how I want to come across? People are giving me feedback. You're coming across arrogant. Is that how you want to come across? And
Mm,
you'll say, "Oh, I just in my head, I'm coming across as a person with a big personality." Now the work starts. They say I'm arrogant, talk too much, loud. I say I have a big personality. There is where the adjustment needs to happen
mm.
because I
Okay.
want to be genuine and authentic, but I don't want to scare people off. I'm not trying to put myself off or put people off, scare people off. So I have to adjust my personality, adjust my public self.
Mhm.
And that's what the emotional intelligence does for us. And then there's a cultural intelligence. How do you culturally, socially show up in different places? You need to have a good sense of understanding about yourself.
Mm,
Um, Turn some of the social media off, turn some of the music off, turn some of the noise off, and sit with yourself long enough to say, who am I? I think every so often, every day, every week, every month, once a year, go on a retreat, do something and say, who am I? Who have I been? Who am I becoming? And really give it a thorough answer and see what you come up with. But it's just information. You don't have to like the information. You just need the information. But
okay.
you need to use that information to make change. So, how do people, men, not know that? They don't have a good sense of understanding themselves. And I think you need people around you to help you understand you.
Mm. I that's so interesting because you were talking about in even in childhood and not having people around you. We're talking about accountability. We're talking about truthful, talking about honesty, and sometimes you would think that those things just come. Those are just like basic things that come to good people. But like you said something that like, again, and even bringing it home, that ministering to me right now. There are some things that we do that we are surprised by. Like we weren't expecting that in this situation
Yeah.
we would handle it that way. But it's kind of like sometimes when you're pressed for the truth, and sometimes when you have a fear that you might lose something because of that, or you might there might be something truly detrimental.
Yeah.
You hold back on that, and again,
Yeah.
I'm not justifying it.
Yeah.
That's not the right thing to
Yeah.
do. But how do we is there a way to deal with that, or is that just learning from experience where you say, hey, if I'm truly cornered with something, even though I think that by not giving the complete truth or by straight
Yeah.
lying,
Yeah.
will that
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
the other person protect them
Yeah.
somehow,
Yeah.
instead of
What I find good in my experience, if you can preload some responses, pre preset some things you want to see, some levels you will go to and you will not go to, much like you have in your car radio or on your phone. You have some presets. This station is always automatically adjusted to that. And so when I get in the car, it automatically goes to that thing. If you say, "Oh, I'm tired of that one," I push another button and it goes immediately to that station.
Mm-hmm.
Those, we call those presets. And you can preset some responses, some emotions, some thoughts, some behaviors. While it's things are going well, while you're got a good grasp on yourself, preset, preload some things about yourself. If you say emotion, I have the potential. The more you know about yourself, the better. Great.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I'm going to the family reunion or I'm going with this thing with my wife, and I know her people tend to get loud, and she's from the family. They like to make jokes at each other and they like to pick at each other. And they do that with me. And I know I don't care too much for that. So I
Mm-hmm.
need to say, I need to get ready for them, not on the defensive, but I need to have some preloaded statements, some preloaded behaviors, some preloaded emotions. So when they do what I expect them to do, sometimes they can catch me off guard. I can say, okay, this is when I get up and I say, well, I'll be right back. And I go outside. This is where I say, could I invite you to let's not do that right now? Or, hey, I don't mean no harm, but I really don't like when you all do that. Or I really don't like when you say that because it sounds like you're making fun of me.
Mm-hmm.
I've already preloaded those things. So I'm capping off the emotion. If I say, under the worst circumstance, I'm not going to allow myself to get past a level 4 on a
Mm-hmm.
scale of 1 to 10. If I'm arguing, if I'm with my spouse, my girlfriend, whoever it is, and I say, friend guy, whoever it is, and I say, this will not, I won't ever get past a level 3 or 4. Because I said, no, that's as far as I'm going. But I pre select that. Emotionally, I won't allow the argument to get past a level 3, a
Okay.
level 4. And I don't. When it starts getting at 3, 3.4, 3.5, 3.75, I said, hey, listen, I'm not sure that I can have much more of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
She may be winning, I may be winning, nobody's winning, everybody's upset, nothing is resolved, but I cannot handle any more of this conversation. So I'm going to do what I said. When I get to 4, that's when I'm out. Now, I don't storm out. I don't pout and sulk and just run out, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, let me do this. Let me get a better hold of me because I feel myself not doing well. So why don't I step away from this conversation? I'm going to come back to your concerns. I can't promise it's going to be in the next 15 minutes. I can't promise it's going to be today, but I am coming back. So I never get outside of myself. Once in a blue moon, I act unbecomingly, but it's because I've set a lot of presets, preloaded a lot of emotions,
Okay.
thoughts, words before I ever get to it. So I'm not surprised. And I can always never, my last thing I will say is never allow yourself to get in or stay in a black and white, all or nothing, this or that situation, because there's only two outcomes. It's either your way or my way. Either I'm in this situation or I'm in that situation.
Okay.
Create some options, create some space, because you'll operate better in all of these different spaces. But if it's only I win or I lose, somebody got to win and somebody got to lose. And I intend for it be to be me who wins. And relationally, that doesn't help you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't try not to do that, but preset some things. Stay out of the black and white, all or nothing thinking. It doesn't really help you.
Do you think that there's a way to, if people have a deal breaker for them, and usually we talk about truthfulness and accountability,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
and
yeah,
those are deal breakers for some people. But do you feel like with sometimes with people in relationship with appropriate counseling, do you feel like what is it, the lion or the tiger can truly, or
yeah,
the tiger can truly change its stripe? Do you feel like after there's been substantial harm done to a friendship, relationship, marriage, that the person in question who has done the lying or the, dishonest behavior,
Yeah.
who has not been truly transparent, if they have appropriate counseling and God is truly working through them, do you
Yeah.
feel like they can come back from that and maybe have a good, and somehow they can regain trust with that person, even if the person, the friend,
Yeah.
significant other, or the spouse, or whoever, the
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
people have left. Do you
Yeah.
feel like they can come back and it can be a fruitful relationship, friendship, fatherhood, whatever, is that possible?
Yeah, it is. Big picture, it is. And then I'll have to give the however in there. However, it's going to take two people willing to do that. And usually that's where you see things break up. When two people, both people or both parties are not willing. Because I can be genuinely sorry, remorseful, and try to make amends and go get counseling and repent and say I'm sorry and stop doing the behavior. But if you say, I'm done with you, I can't make you not be done with me. I can model for you a better behavior. I can model for you that I have changed. But if you have it in your heart, I'm not going to forgive and accept him back. And that doesn't have to mean a spouse or romantic thing. It can be a friendship or it can be a coworker. And they'll say, you betrayed my trust. And I have no place for people who betray my trust. And
Hmm.
they'll say, you probably are a good person for somebody, but I
Hmm.
can never trust you again. I don't care what you do. And everybody sees you as the great and powerful, but I'll never trust you. But that's a decision that they make. So, yes, you can come back. That is the goal, to come back, but you got to have changed behavior. You can't do the same old things and expect new behaviors. I heard somebody say a saying, and I use it a lot: old keys won't unlock new doors.
Mm.
So, yeah, old keys won't unlock new doors. You're trying to see something new in our relationship or even in myself. I'm trying to get to a better place and grow and be a better man and a better father and a better husband, but I'm still doing the same old stuff, same old habits, same old get angry quickly, the same old nobody can tell you anything. But I want to have all this new stuff happening within me, and I just want to be all God wants me to be. I got all the same habits. And I'm saying you can want all you want to. You don't have the skills, you don't have the hardwire to do the stuff. So get you some new skills. Even when you get the new skills, they still may not. But that's on them. That's on them.
Mm.
It's on them.
We had somebody, I think Shamika Thomas is there. She's a therapist herself, and I think she was chiming in on what you were saying. Right, it's over. So I don't know if Shamika, you want to if you want to go into that a little more with a little more detail, or because I think Dr. Hall was saying basically what you're saying. You let me know if I'm wrong. It depends on the person. If it's the same old person, like you said, well, I want to be better, but you really haven't been consistent or changed, then as she's saying, it's over. But then there's some other time where a person can truly recognize their faults and change with appropriate actions and with the
Yeah.
tools. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. 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 If you're talking to me, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Shamika Thomas, or piggyback on that, but I had some other, of course, we always run out of time on the show, man, but we've got a few more minutes, so I want to keep it going because I'm seeing there's a couple other viewers that are logging on, and then when I click over to Instagram, let's see, okay, I'm going over to my other screen to look at Instagram, and we have someone, Tamara Logan. That's my high school classmate there, Dr. Phillips High School. Shout out to Orlando, Florida, Dr. Phillips. If the behavior change is genuine, I can move past it. But if it's the same behavior, then I leave, she says.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it is a genuine change behavior. Sometimes it's not. Or sometimes it is change behavior, but my scale or my definition, the person may not be able to match what I define. If you say, I want you to be able to be truthful, and I think I am being truthful, and I'm not hiding things, but my level of truthfulness may not be the same level as yours. One of the main things you hear in couples relationship is, I just want him to love me and show love and talk to
Hmm.
me, communicate. And I would ask him, so what do you think about communicating love? He'll say, I do love her. I am communicating.
Hmm.
I do talk. They both have the same value, but to me, the problem is the value they put on the value. For instance, I say I love you. And when I say I love you, I mean I love you at a level 9.
Hmm.
When you say I love you, you mean I love you at a level 3. Now we're both saying the same thing. We both mean the same thing. We're both using the same words, but the value on that thing is completely different. It is not in alignment. So sometimes it
Okay.
may be changed behavior, but you're still not in alignment. If you say, I want him to stay at home with me, okay, great. How can you argue with that? I want him to spend more time with me. But what you really mean is, I don't want him to go anywhere. I want him to stay with me. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to sit at home and watch TV. And I want him to be a 26-year-old man and stay at home and watch TV with me. That may not be in alignment. Well, he doesn't love me. Well, he does, but he doesn't want to do that. And if you have an all or nothing, either you do this or you really don't want to be with me, then you push the relationship. I'm not saying you push the man, but you push the relationship
Hmm.
into a corner. You never really want to do that because you don't get the outcomes you think you're going to get when you
Yeah.
back somebody into a corner. Don't ever back anybody into a corner. And don't allow yourself to be backed into a corner. If you don't change this right now, Fred, this is a deal breaker. I'm out. So, well, no, 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 no. Sorry. It may be a deal breaker for you, but I'm not going to allow you to put me in that space.
Right.
If all of your eggs are in my basket and I hold the power to hold you together and hold us together and hold the world together, that's too much power for me. So I'm not going to let you do that to me. And I think you mean well by that, but I recognize I don't hold that much power. And if whatever I do or don't do is the deal breaker, I'm gonna try to do better. I'm gonna try to
Right.
hear what you need, but not to the point where all of this rests on me. And
Absolutely.
I don't do that.
Absolutely. I want to, I've got, looks like we've got Shamika Thomas logging in here. Let me see how I can do this because it's trying to, okay, let's see. All right, there we go. Let me try to do this. Man, this is going to be, okay. All right. Let's transition. Okay, there's Shamika Thomas and Doc. You still with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
Why is your? Let's see.
I can hear you. I don't think you can see me, but I can see all of you all.
Yeah,
I can see everyone.
you can see it.
Okay.
It's not. See, it's on my live preview because I definitely want to make sure this is translating. Let's see. I'm at the just 1 second here. It's just not translating on the. Hold on 1 second here. So I've got the two of us. I've got okay. That went over.
But we can still see Shamika.
You can see her.
Yes.
For some reason, man, yours is not. Hold on 1 second. Let's see here.
Well, I don't want to delay the program, but
No, no, no. Well,
right.
hold on, Dr. Hall. I tell you what. Let me try one thing here. Um, let me try one thing because I'm just not. I want to make sure that this can. Man, when I send it over there, it's like it doesn't. We're changing some scenes here. We'll try one other thing here. Yeah, see, it's not showing Dr. Hall on there when I do that.
Well, I'm comfortable writing in the comments.
You know,
I would just want to piggyback off of what Dr. House said as far as like in order to, even be in a position to show that you have changed behavior, you have to have a willing vessel to do so. In a lot of cases, with men and accountability and different things like that, I mean, some men put themselves in a position where you do too much too late, and everything appears to be that you're doing it out of desperation. And at that point, once a female shuts down, it don't matter. You can offer us the world, because a lot of times the man is our world. That's what we want. That's what we're trying to cater to. That's what we're trying to love and respect, and all of those things. And then once that trust is gone, uh at some point, when a woman is there's a point before a woman has a breaking point. There's a point where we're saying, hey, you're not paying me any attention. Hey, you're not respecting me. I feel unloved, unwanted, uncared about. Normally, if you have a woman that's in love with you and loves you and wants to be with you, be it in a serious committed relationship or moving toward marriage or just a long-term relationship, there's a point in there where that woman is going to say, where she's gonna fight for the relationship. You're gonna know that she's fighting for the relationship. The issue is men don't always notice that their significant other is fighting for the relationship until she stopped fighting for the
mm,
relationship. And so once you notice that she's no longer fighting, then that's when your fight come in, and she has nothing left to give. I had a friend that tell me that he was engaged, and the woman was trying to, make sure that he was a part of the wedding stuff and all this stuff like that, and he just wasn't interested. He wasn't interested just because of like stuff that was going on in his life. And so at some point, regardless, what men don't know is, regardless you say I want a daisy or a rose, we gonna pick what we want to pick anyway. But the key is, we want you to be a part of something that means something to us. So, like I said, a lot of times men do things too little, too late. Now you're doing it out of desperation. Now you're just trying to keep me, and I don't want to be kept because I've fought
mhm.
for you for however long. And when you don't notice the fight, what are you doing that you didn't see my fight? That's my question.
Dr. Hall, and look, Shamika, I really appreciate that. I know we're running low on time, and we appreciate you joining. Dr. Hall, I'm gonna defer that one to you if you have any comments. So, how does somebody,
Yeah.
where do you come back from that? Like, what is a person to do, whether it's the man or the woman? Is there something that can be done to reinforce, even though Shamika's saying that now their fight is at different times and intervals, and now the woman is done? Is there something that can still be done on whoever's part that has done the wrongdoing? Is there something that can be done to still bolster that and show that person that, hey, I'm different, I'm not playing around?
Yeah, I think Shamika. Yeah, Shamika is correct. Yeah, she is correct. And I'll condense it at the end and say it's too much, too little, too late. You can't. There's nothing else left in that, because the offense is so great. Now the question is there anything that can be done? Yeah, the man still can do all the stuff, and she may see he has changed, but I'm done with it now. And when she, or anyone, not just a woman, but if we're specifically talking about a woman, when she's done, she's done. And
Hmm.
sometimes we when we're having this conversation right now, we have a picture of a man and a woman in our head, and we're saying she's done, she shut down, and he has to go or whatever. Sometimes a woman shuts down and they stay together, but she's like, I'm still with you, but I quit a long time ago. So sometimes when people say, you hear it as we got a divorce after the kids left And he's like, how in the world? Why would you do that? Y'all been married 20 years, 30 years. She quit a long time ago.
So,
Yeah, she quit a long time ago.
Mm,
But the circumstances wasn't favorable for her splitting up. But now she's like, I don't need that. I don't want a person in the house. I have enough money, or I want to be on my own, whatever the context is. And then she leaves the physical thing, or puts him out, or he goes somewhere. But she may stop loving, caring, fighting for the relationship years before you ever notice it. And
mhm.
so when you get older, your 40s and 50s and whatever, and 60s, and you say, I just want to be a nice, loving, older couple, and you were running around all in your 20s and 30s, and she had to check your phone and check the car and all that stuff. Now at 60, you want to have a loving, and with children and grandchildren. And she's like, I stopped at 35.
Mhm.
I stopped that years ago.
and
It's
then
not
truthfully
always,
too,
yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, but truthfully too, she would do you a disservice by even being with you. I feel like if somebody can admit and say that I'm not interested, even though you're willing to fight, I
Mhm.
feel like that person in a relationship, I don't want this friendship, I don't want this relationship, I don't want this marriage, because they know that they're staying there just to babysit you. They don't want to be there. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
I
but
feel like that would
sometimes
be
you're
doing
you're
you a
right. There are
disservice.
times when people do that,
Right.
but there's something for them to gain. Because you're right. Sometimes they stay, or you say, but why would you do that? Because I'm just babysitting you. There's a gain on their side.
Hmm.
They don't want to disrupt the family. They don't want to make you mad if you're violent, whatever. They don't want to make the person mad. They don't have the same amount of money. There's a reason why people stay in those situations. Men stay in it, women stay in it. More often, you hear women staying in situations, and it's like, but just really not doing the relationship any good. But there's a reason why they stay in that, and you
Absolutely.
don't find that out until years later. Sometimes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, I want to recognize Dr. Nate Dunlap, another good friend of mine. He's man, we had an amazing episode several weeks ago, and he was doing some estate planning, and he was sending me some messages and saying how many people have come up to him and how many people watched the episode, and we had hit the 1,000 uh, viewers and all that kind of stuff. And so I told him, I said, man, we're on. I said, we're still on here tonight, brother. So we appreciate you joining us. So don't want to miss that episode featuring him and my other good friend Eric Collins with The Herbal Blessing. Shamika, I'm so glad you joined us. I know that we're over time. I want to just, if y'all can stay 5 more minutes, that way I can give y'all some closing. I guess in court they say the closing arguments, but this has been such a really an introspective episode because I've even discussed my own feelings on things and my personal situation with a few people, and sometimes like you were saying, Doc, you were talking about the people that hold you accountable, and that's so important because we hear about all these celebrities that have all these yes men and yes women around them, and you're not going to grow from that if you don't have somebody holding you accountable. And so it's kind of like sometimes we have to have these, excuse me, hard lessons in life to teach us, well, you might have been doing it this long and maybe you've been getting away with it, but
Yeah.
this is time to change. Or
Yeah.
maybe you have been an honest and truthful person, but this time somehow you lost your way, and sometimes that has consequences, and even though it might burn us to the core,
It
uh,
does.
best thing you can do is to learn from that and move forward. But I know that
Own it.
yeah, but some of us, we just remain, positive, trying to remain hopeful, and we just say, look, I really feel, and I appreciate what you all have said because you guys are the experts, but I would also say, man, I just feel like even from a family medicine standpoint, and the patients I see that have different issues going on, whether it's anxiety, depression, or just a normal patient, I really feel like, or maybe this is the Christian side of things, that God can change things. God can heal. God can do miracles. And so, whatever that is, whether it's changing you as a person, whether it's you need to be more truthful and honest, whether you need to be more transparent, or even the other person. And if it is His will,
Yeah.
uh, whatever that is, even if it doesn't seem likely, I feel that, all things can be possible through God. But of course, He gives us gifts and talents, and we can't be no fools, and we need to utilize the gifts and talents of people like you guys who are the experts.
And I think that's why he does that. He can do anything. God can do anything. And yet he chooses people. He puts us in relationship. God himself is relational. God created man and woman and children and the family and all of the people of the earth to put us in relationship. He Jesus walked on water, so it's possible he can do that. But there was one time we saw that. The rest of the time he walked on the land, which means he uses natural means more often than he does supernatural.
Mm,
God can do anything he wants to do and does. And that is the miracle where God breaks heaven and earth and he comes down and he changes a person's heart or changes a situation or saves us from death and doom and gloom. More often, he says, that thing right there, that jealousy, that anger, that bitterness, that defensiveness, go get that worked on.
mhm,
And I was thinking about when we talked about men and accountability, we put it in the context of men to men, and that's probably the best place to start it. But the advanced level is if you are in relationship with a woman, I mean, it doesn't have to be romantic, but with any other woman, the advanced level is when you can let a man can let a woman hold you accountable. Now that's a man. When a man can let the woman say, why are
mm,
you doing that? What's happening with you? I'm looking out for your best interest. That really is going to hurt you. Explain to me, right? When you can allow a woman to do that and not be defensive, you value her. Yeah, you value her, you treasure her, and you treasure her words. And I'm
mm,
putting this in the marital context. I know for my own marriage, that was always the behind the scenes struggle to let your wife tell you something. Now, somebody else could tell it to me, and I'll say, "Oh
mhm,
yeah," and then my wife will say, "Well, I'll go get him to tell you because if he tells you, you will do it or you will stop doing it. But if
mm,
I tell you, you're just going to keep doing it because you think I'm trying to stop you or rule you or." And because we have a certain position we think our wives, our girlfriends, our significance are in. But when you can relax all that defensiveness and say, if you know the person really has your best interest at heart, they're here to help me. They're on Team Fred. They're not going to do anything but help me be better. But I got to listen to what they say. And I got to be able to willingness and take it to heart. Yeah.
that's
That I
I
think is
think I
where,
think that's
yeah,
a big issue too in
yeah,
relationships that um when you're dating a woman, I mean, like you said, it's easy for a man to come in and say, "Hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to look at this." And they can tell you the issues, but it's different when a woman, like you said, tells a man or constructively
yeah,
criticize her man. We look at our men, we see the inside, we see what others don't see. We in the house with you. We see when you mad, we see when you sad, we see you when you depressed. We see when you put down all anger and hostility and answer the phone and speak to Chris like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And we know you just was upset. And how you can put all that to the side for somebody else, but you can't put it aside for your significant other. And really, men don't even, like you said, to be criticized by
yeah.
their woman, and the woman knows you best. I heard somebody say, as your wife, I get the least of you, and I'm the person
mm,
that sees everything. As your girlfriend, I see everything. They don't know when you come home tired from work and you go in the room and don't even greet me hello, and I have to process that. And I think that in relationships, also important is boundaries, be it emotional, physical, sexual, verbal, the time, the material. You got to have emotional boundaries, which are thoughts, your feelings, your values, how much you're willing to share with this person, how much physical, or am I willing to share my body and give you the most sacred part of me. And what are you going to do with that? What did you do with that? And for someone to give you that physical, sexual, emotional, to let you through that boundary just to be set up for the kill, just to hurt me, that's hurtful. Because it's a lot of women, you have to go through a hard wall to get to them. And once we allow you to get through that hard surface and get to our heart, and you blow it, you fumble, like no. So, even with me, you have to be, as far as boundaries, I'm not gonna let this man talk to me like that. So you there are verbal boundaries. We want to feel adored and loved and cared about and cherished, and nothing else. Women like to feel heard, and we want you to be present, not just there, but be present. Make us feel like you see us. Not that, oh, okay, yeah, that's just my girlfriend, that's just my wife. But somebody can call, and like I said, all guards down. Hey, oh yeah, I had a wonderful time at work. But when women that's in your space every day want to sit down and say, hey, here's a glass of wine, here's your coffee before you go to work, how was your day yesterday? Oh, it was good. That's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But your mom can call. Oh, mom, I had a horrible day at work. Oh my gosh. Da, 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 da. That's what we want. We
Man,
don't want the bare minimum. We want what your mama get. We want what Dr. Fred get. I mean Dr. Howe get. We want what you really going through. Because I'm the person that's gonna go through the trenches with you if you believe me to be that person. If you don't believe me to be that person, don't even deal with me. And
you know
I and
what?
I just feel like it's not nothing in which people have time boundaries and material boundaries and stuff like that. But it's not even about that. Chances are you're gonna attract what you like. So you're probably have somebody on your same playing field. But even if you don't, it has to be something about that woman that drew you to them. A lot of times you may look like you where you want to be, but you may not be where you should be. And sometimes God will put a woman or somebody in your life to help elevate you to that point. That's why he sent Eve. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe, God can do all things but fail, but he also give you free will. And once you act on that free will, if he already got something designed for you, you the conductor of your train. You say if the train going right, if the train going left, he laid down the tracks. You can go right and you can go left and you can keep going straight. But a lot of time we pick the road that's barely unchosen. We pick the hard road and we have to learn hard lessons. And then we mad at God. We mad at the decision that we made. We mad at the person that we disappointed and let down in the person who decided to get off the train. But
Well,
when a person decides to get off the train because you were the conductor, you led that train. And
mhm.
when you led that train astray, that was your fault. And so if they want to get their luggage and their baggage and get off of your train, it falls on the man.
Mm. Well, I'm gonna have to leave it at that, Dr. Fred. I wanted y'all to give a closing. We want to know. We're going to have to come. We're going to have to table that and come back because this. I know this is going to be a somewhat of a juicy subject, I guess, for people, but it's one that truly hits home. I can hear the passion in your voice, Tamika. I can hear it. And so, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and I got to look at the schedule and see who's coming up next week. But we might even have to run this thing back. I did that with one of my good pastor friends, and Mike. He said, "Mike drop." Dr. Nate. So what we may do is try to bring this back, Dr. Hall. If you'd be available, we could do like a round table, and we'll have you there. We'll get Shamika back on here. We'll get Pastor Hargrove, Danye on there, my good friend. We get my friend Dr. Nate Dunlap on there. Man, we just have us a round table. So
Yeah.
with that said, tell us where you're at, Dr. Hall. I know we got to go ahead and get out of here. Tell us where everybody can find you, what services you're offering, and how they can
Yeah.
contact you, brother.
Yeah. I am in Ridgeland, Mississippi on Old Kenton Road, 70480 Old Kenton Road, Suite 1003C, Ridgeland. But you can Google it, Hall Consulting Services. You can find it that way. Hallconsultingservices.com. I'm I think I'm Dr. Fred Hall on Facebook. I think I am either Dr. Fred Hall on Instagram or Mint for More on Instagram. I have, or I will soon have, a link tree there with all of my socials and all of my products. I do sell products and I sell a lot of books and ebooks that I've written, clinical issues and Christian issues,
Awesome.
how a believer or a person can work through those things. And most often they are workbook format kinds of things. So I don't want to just talk to people, or you read a book for information and you get smarter and you say, oh, that was a good book, but it doesn't change. My whole idea is I want to interact with you so you can change. So the bookstore is called Books by Mint for More, and it'll be on the link though. So I'll post those things and link them to Dr. Bookhart's thing, and so you'll be able to find me that way. Thanks for the invitation. It is my pleasure. I want to celebrate our men. I want to say,
Absolutely.
men, I believe in you. I do believe in you. Yeah, I believe in you that you can do anything, and you have. You just need some help. Let people help you. You need some different skills. Get the skills and go live the kind of way and the life and with the people you really want to do that with. I believe you can do that. Let us help you do that.
Awesome. Amen to that. Shamika Thomas, I really appreciate you joining us from Dallas, Texas.
Yes, I am Shamika Grant Thomas. I live in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I'm a licensed professional therapist, have been for the last 10 years. I do have a private practice, and my I guess my heart desires is to encourage and strengthen women and teens to be self-sufficient in areas of their lives or whatever. So that's what I'm all about, is pro women. And but yeah, I love my black men. I love a strong black man. I love a hard working man. I love all black men. Listen, I love y'all. So I'm definitely here to encourage. But listen, I'm a straight shooter. I'm gonna give it to you raw and uncut, because listen, sometimes that's what y'all need. But definitely would like to be a part of another show. Sorry that I got on late. I worked overnight last night at the psychiatric hospital. I'm sure Dr. Hall probably know how that is. And so I was
I
definitely
sure do.
worn out on today. But I'm glad I was able to come in and share my opinions and constructive criticism. But yeah, thanks for allowing me to be here today.
Absolutely. Well, look, you heard it first, folks. We will be back. We'll put something out. I'm gonna make a statement on probably tomorrow or the next day about how we're gonna do this, because I had some other guests all the way through May or June, actually, even some all kind of other people. So, but I think this is something that we really need to tackle. And again, even for myself, this is something that really, spoke to my heart, and that's why we had prayer with that. So, with that said, thank you all. And again, thank you to my esteemed guest, Dr. Fred Hall, Mr. Mika Grant Thomas. Thank you for watching another episode of Telehealth Tuesday. As always, we love the fantastic audience participation each and every week. And as I said, next week, stay tuned, because we may be right back with an even bigger town hall or panel discussion. We hope you'll join us. Bring a friend with you, okay? Don't be selfish. Bring somebody with you. And don't forget to subscribe to Dr. BTV on YouTube. So God willing, we'll see you always on a Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the place where we treat and discuss mind, body, and soul. And as always, remember that true wealth begins with good health. See you next Tuesday.
Hello, I'm Dr. Michael Bookhardt. Come join us at our newest clinic location at Good Faith Wellness Center. We provide compassionate health care for your entire family, from virtual visits to office appointments. We're committed to providing the best care. We accept all insurances, and we provide monthly wellness plans. Let's start your family journey to a healthier, happier life. Schedule your appointment today. And remember, true wealth begins with good health.